Hi. Please drink your coffee. We'll wait.
Where?
Welcome to Tonkocast number 17.
17.
Right.
Who's our guest?
Actually, I wasn't here this week to record. I was busy working
lazy.
on our feature.
No, you were taking vacation.
It was a vacation, but I was thinking about our feature.
Of course. Yeah. So this week we had Erick and Courtney Lockwood talk about their Hulu project.
Right, Hulu's wrapping up our series of 5-minute shorts. Is wrapping up this month, and so the team's working really hard, and we can't wait for everybody to see it, but we thought it would be fun actually to talk a little bit about the project.
Yeah, production challenges and all whatnot. They're just a week away from finishing the cleanup, and Erick is going to fly back to Japan in 3 weeks to finish up the post, and it'll be done.
Great. So I look forward to listening for the first time actually with you guys.
Okay, so today we have a special guest. We actually had both of you guys before, respectively. Mm-hmm. Erick, director of our Tonkocast's new project, Pig, the Dam Keeper poems, and the production manager, Courtney Lockwood. Thank you guys again for coming to Tonkocast.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, so just right off the bat, you should just tell us about this series, what this is all about.
Pig, the Dam Keeper poems. As the title says, it's about Pig. It's definitely my own take on the Dam Keeper world we are all familiar with. But as we all know, there's Pig and father situation, and my imagination started from there, how he ended up being in the damn tower by himself, and how he lost his father, for example. So it all started from there. So and then it's all based on his memory. So it's not like something happened and that's why the father had to leave. It's not like that. So he remembers certain moments in life, and then how he grows and he meets Fox, all that type of thing. In my own take. So that's a super, brief summary of the introduction of this series.
That's right.
Yeah.
So this is 10 5-minute episodes.
Right, that's correct.
Series.
Mm-hmm.
So altogether it's a 50-minute content.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We all come from Pixar, feature film animation studio,
Mm-hmm.
and we Courtney, you actually worked at Google and on the Academy Award nominated Pearl. Mm-hmm. So of course you have a little bit of expansive experience, compared to us. But still, this is a very unique experience for all of us, right? I mean,
Very unique.
The first
experience.
time doing this big series in such a short amount of time. Courtney, can you talk a little bit about when this started and where you guys are in terms of production?
Yeah.
When is it coming out?
Where we are. So it started Erick joined Tonko House in last October.
Mm-hmm.
And you started storyboarding then.
Right.
And then we started production in January. And we are now actually almost getting into post. At the end of July, we'll be in post-production, doing the final mix and color grading. And so it was a quick, I would say, 8 months with storyboarding, with really heavy storyboarding.
Mm-hmm.
And so 50 minutes in 8 months that's one reason why it was very unique to us.
Right.
I think coming from
Literally 2 to
Pixar,
3 months of storyboarding, and then 4 months of animation, and then the rest of the production is happening simultaneously. So that's how we ended up being here. We only got 1 month ahead of us to completion.
And then this will come out next fall in Japan, and this coming fall.
This August.
Yep.
Crazy.
The series gets to be released in Japan with distributed by Hulu, and then for the rest of the world, we'll have to wait to see.
Right. It's not like we haven't been approached. We actually just never tried to sort of shop around just yet for various reasons, and we're actually very excited about finding, the right partner for this pretty incredible series, I have to say. And as you guys know, like Robert and I played executive producer role on this show, which is also a very, very new experience for us, and this is something that we nurtured, the Dam Keeper, that we nurtured with people like Erick and people like a bunch of amazing talents that we worked with on the short. And even after the short, we nurtured this franchise into a feature story and a graphic novel. And then just seeing Erick kind of take it to the different level, different place, while kind of maintaining the world of the Dam Keeper and the characters, it was such a rewarding and challenging experiences for us too.
Yeah.
Before getting into the specifics, I'd love to hear about how did this all start? Like for both of you, we all work together at Pixar. You started at Tonkocast around the same time to work on this project. We invited Erick to join Tonko House to direct this series. We invited Courtney to sort of manage the entire production of this series, and that's how we invited Courtney from Google. What was the expectation?
Well, for me, it was a natural transition for me from being a Pixar, even if I was spending a lot of time on animation in feature production, but also I spent a lot of time working on my personal stuff, directing and then telling my own stories. So I've been always trying to look for the opportunity to keep on doing that. And in the really right timing, this opportunity came up to both Tonko House and me. So, I just took it and decided to carry on. And this is how everything got started. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it was, I had been at Google for about 1.5 years. And, like you said, we all were at Pixar and we're so spoiled at Pixar being able to tell these amazing stories and work on these amazing films. And I think that it was such a gem to have that as part of my career so early on, is be able to set that standard that like our stories all need to have heart in them and need to be, really story is king, like we always say at Pixar. And so when I got so lucky being able to work on Pearl right after Pixar, and which I really do believe that film has tremendous heart as well. And then, but it was in VR, and so I started to see myself going more down the VR path and more into working with software developers, and I just found myself quickly missing the narrative,
the core storytelling part of the production.
Yeah, and I mean Google is a very, very hard place to leave, but it was still just, like you said, it was just the right time, and just in your gut, you're just of course. Yeah. And so when Dice and Robert and Zen approached me for Hulu, I didn't know much about Erick, and we had never actually worked together at Pixar.
Even though we were there for 6-7 years together, we never came across, surprisingly. Right. So
I know.
Yeah.
And but I knew the guys and obviously Dam Keeper so well, and I knew that thing that I was missing, I was really gonna find here.
Well, then you guys started, Erick, you in October, and Courtney, you started in December, late November. The whole journey of this production, started, the genesis of this project started in October.
Literally.
And you talked about storyboarding for 3 months, 2.5 months. I don't think that's actually the case. You you still had time in the beginning to think about the story. Your storyboarding time was way less than that. And
God.
what was really impressive to me is in the beginning, I would say like in a matter of a week or so, Erick came up with like 2-3 different ideas.
Right.
Remember that? And pitched to us, and we were like super excited and impressed. And actually, there was a version of the story that was really amazing too. But Erick decided to kind of go with that version that you ended up with.
Surprising that you remember that. I literally came up with 2 different versions of series. One is like super epic, actually it has the same, tone with what the Timekeeper feature like to go. And then the other one is very fantastic and what we are actually, making right now. Right.
And I think the reason why I think it's easier for me to remember is that you got to remember this is actually such a recent event. I mean,
right. It's
not
even a one.
Ago.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I know you guys are still in the thick of it, so it feels like a long time ago. But this is the fastest production, of course, coming from Pixar.
Yeah.
We've never experienced something like this, where we had such a small crew, and yet we got this 50-minute worth of content done in 8 months. It's a pretty incredible journey, and I love to hear what happened from the beginning to where we are today.
Well, I was laughing.
Okay.
I was laughing because the story, Dice telling the timeline of the storyboard process was, so again, like I started late November, and by, it's so important for the, production manager and the director to have this really candid and open relationship. And I just remember at the end of December, Erick came to me with this, like, he had popped a blood vessel in his eye.
Oh, man.
And he, like, looked at me and he was like, I think I've reached my limit. And it was like, okay.
I finally found my limit.
Yes, and it was like, okay. And so I think for the rest of the production, it's really just been me trying to, like, get Erick as close to that as possible, but then stop when you're about to pop a blood vessel. But yeah,
another eye. It was my other eye.
It was just I've never seen such like a physical manifestation of like your limitations, and so that was in the beginning. I think we definitely realized this was going to be a very stressful and fast-paced production. But that we needed to constantly make sure that we're feeling okay and happy by it. And that it was going to be hard, but that we all needed to support each other. And
yeah, but what's really interesting, like looking back, I really don't think I ever compromised.
yeah.
Ever in any stage. I mean, maybe that was why I lost my eyes. But really did my best, and I really try my best to enjoy every single step we've been taking. And then, you asked me about, like, let's going back to the first step of this production, which is storyboarding, coming up with the story. From the get-go, I had already the core message I love to convey through this 15-minute long journey. And then I think my brain was split into half. One is trying to grasp upon the main core idea of the series, and the other one is like a small fun ideas. So my first couple of weeks of pitching was actually more geared towards to these little ideas. So I still remember Zen telling me, he was telling me that Erick didn't know where they were going. Each individual pieces were really great, but they weren't really connecting each other. But in my head, it was actually, going forward. So there's one moment where I finally took all the pieces together, presented as like 1 to 10 episode, and that's when actually everything started to move a little faster in a way, and that's when you came in. And then,
And we were so lucky, and I think it was so important that story was completely locked when we then went into production. And I don't think we could have done the production schedule that we had, and if there were story changes being done.
Right.
Yeah.
And just to remind you guys and our listeners that the storyboarding was done entirely by you, Erick. So we actually had trusted friends who are very experienced story artists. They were all very, very surprised and impressed how much you got done in such a short amount of time. And because in the feature film world, and maybe it's normal in TV world, we just never experienced that before. So where we're coming from, this was very unusual, but we had the production pressure to have to be ready
Right.
before we
Next New Year,
all the animators. So of course, you can just argue that it was because Erick just pulled it off. It's amazing, but also I don't want to discredit how hard you worked to make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is true that I was getting a lot of pressure, because of the schedule issue, but that actually, in the end, helped me a lot. Stay very intuitive and very sharp in every single moment. I never waited. I just went for it. When the vision idea comes out, I just caught it, So it was a really series of that practice on and on and on. And that's how we were able to end up having such a unique original flavor to it. I think one of the reasons is actually thanks to that limited, capacity, So we did our best to take advantage of that sort of, limited, capacity, I think.
Yeah. And I think that also the design of the short, I think a lot of this, the series, I think a lot of the series is mandated by this limited capacity. Like the design is very simple.
Right.
And even though, and that takes a lot of forethought, obviously, to simplify it, because what are you actually going to include in this simple background? But then the execution, we're able to go at a faster pace.
Yeah, that's what's really incredible about the choices you guys made, and definitely you guys called this series for a reason. Landscape of Poems.
Right.
You took out all the unnecessary elements, just the essential elements that you just kept on.
Yeah.
And visually, it shows. Story-wise, it shows. Everything, even animation, is very minimal, but it doesn't look cheap at all.
Yeah.
So definitely kudos to your direction, as well as your team of artists creating such an incredible decision making because of this limited capacity, just like you said. I wanted to ask you guys, especially Courtney, this is also the first time at Tonko House that we have to hire a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people for Tonko House is like 3 people. But, Tonko House has been very small.
Sure.
Very small group of people.
Right.
And, when we made Moon, we had the production partners in Japan.
Right.
And just me and Robert worked on, creatively remotely.
Wow.
But for this project, you had half of the crew in Berkeley.
Right.
And you posted our jobs, and just tell us about this experience, because that's the first time we went through this.
It is, and it's pretty overwhelming because, Tonko House is very, very small, and it's one room, and we all work very closely together, and so we did this job posting for a 2D animator, and I think it was actually posted 2D animator or cleanup artist.
Right.
And we got, by the time for the cutoff, we got 350 applications.
I remember actually even the first day.
The first day, it was like just like a ticking
applications.
clock, and it kept coming.
Oh my
God.
Still hard to believe, seriously.
I mean, it's just so humbling because you're, like, everybody wanted to come and work on this project, and
we're looking for 3.
Only 3.
Only 3.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and it was all, and these applicants were worldwide, and we had posted in the job description that we really wanted them to not be remote.
Right.
And that was something that Erick and I went back and forth a lot with,
Right,
because I had worked with remote artists in the past, And there's just something that's so amazing about being able to work alongside
Of course.
your artists, if possible, you know. And so that helped whittle down the applications, is the people who are able to come and work in Berkeley. But yeah, but we ended up, Erick selected 3 animators, and with the help of Toshi, who combed all the applications as well. And it was all, once we got this overwhelming amount, it was like all hands on deck. We were all just going through these applications. And
And that's a top choices.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Erick gave
Go
me
ahead.
this list, and he said, I have 3 top choices. And it was Stephanie, Tonko, and Sam. And I still can't believe to the day we got all 3. And it was amazing. And it was just this, you know, it was mine and Erick's. I think it was our first like real victory on this project.
Yeah, I know. Are you guys listening? Stephanie, Tonko, Sam.
And it was just
Yeah.
like, and even that they were your top choices, they still exceeded our expectations.
Far.
And it was still amazing to
Love.
see the 3 of them morph into this. They had such a different, they brought something so different,
Oh
each
my
of them.
god, yes. Yeah.
And it's almost like we couldn't have done.
So, like, it's Sam, Tonko, Stephanie, and Toshi, and me, myself, like, 5 of us literally worked entire series all together as a team. But it was a perfect team, you know, so everyone has, as a key animators, everyone has their own specialty and their, like, you know, strength. And then it was really only helping each other grow and, like, making the series more solid as a result, you know.
So that was for, yeah, like you said, that was our rough animators and our key animators. And so Erick really argued really strongly for the schedule to be, in the beginning, to have a couple months where we're just doing rough animation. And I kept coming back to him and trying to negotiate it, and he really held fast. As opposed to maybe just a few weeks of rough animation and then starting to stagger.
So maybe we can explain a little bit about rough animation. Rough animation is basically so this is basically traditional 2D animation, hand-drawn animation. Rough animation is basically just performance and acting and movement, initial movements. We don't really care about design too much, or all those little things that actually hold us back from just focusing on the pure acting part of it. I just thought, you know, we need to focus on that, you know, for the certain chunk of time.
Yeah.
So that was what I was fighting for back then.
Yeah. But obviously, the more time we do in rough animation, the less time we have to do key animation and cleanup
You know,
animation.
which is finalizing the design, which is also so important. You know, that's what you see on the screen in the end of the day. So, yeah.
Right. So it was definitely a back and forth negotiation, but ultimately we ended up finding the time for them to do it, and it was really, really, we just said it, like, we couldn't have imagined not doing it now. And it was so important, and there's so many little nuances within this series in animation that make it so special.
So then we got the team in Japan, you know, who got involved. And then as Courtney is explaining, the first half of the production, which is like storyboarding and key animation, pretty much, and then art by JJ Song, that's pretty much done in Berkeley headquarters, in Tonko House here. And then the rest of the production happens in Japan, you know.
Right. And so at that point, when we were looking at the schedule and we saw, you know, rough animation, a lot of it being, you know, taking up 2 months, then the question became, how are we going to do key animation in this now condensed time? And Tonko House has this incredible, you know, relationship and foundation in Japan, and which has such a talent in 2D animation.
Right.
And so it was kind of this perfect answer that let's rely on this expertise in Japan.
I mean, creatively, I had no doubt. As a director, I really wanted to actually work with the team in Japan from the beginning. Like, really want to get some help from these guys. As you said, they are the masters in like such a small details and like, I mean, we don't need to even question it. You know, Japanese animation, that's like a world-class animation over there. So, like, it's an honor. You know, it's a huge honor to be able to work with the team in Japan. And so, so that started happening since February, March, like, you know, something like that. You know,
end of March.
End of March, yes, yeah.
So, you know, obviously, as you said, Courtney, Tonko House has a kind of one of our ambitions is to find a unique, not only voice but also unique kind of approach to animation by bringing what we learned in the Western animation. We all come from like big studios in Western animation, and just such a talented but very different talented people in Japan. And so it kind of worked out perfectly. We're always looking for opportunities to work with Japanese creators. Because like you said, there are a lot of talented people who could teach us, who could make us grow. And we did that with Moom, and we're planning to do that with Feature. And naturally, we didn't want to force you guys to do that, but naturally, you know, thanks to especially our production coordinator, Kazu.
Right, Kazu, yeah.
He had this connection such a great connection in Japanese animation industry that he brought some of the best people. So it wasn't just the cleanup artist.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, somehow this show in-betweens and cleanups are done by supervisor level animators from big feature films in Japan.
So I was in Japan like literally a few weeks ago to meet the artists over there, and then basically their average years of career is 7 to 10 years.
Oh my God.
Seriously. And then one of the guys, that's Yohei, his first film, Spirited Away. Can you believe that? I was like, oh my God, teach me how to animate. That was my first, say hello to him.
I mean, it's that feeling that we got when we got all these applications and then multiply and then some.
Oh my God.
Just,
yeah.
I mean, this series could not be done without this incredible support that we're getting from this amazing talent base, and it's.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm blown away by it, and
there's so much of love and respect to each other, in a very personal, deeper level. So I think that's the core idea of this series. You know, why this has been possible, and this is why we've been able to actually come this far, such a long way together as a team. Everyone has their unique, strength, and also like such a huge admiration on this project as a team. So like, even though they are super, super experienced animator, they were so generously, so I think they are having a great time. And then,
we were back in Japan a couple of weeks ago. Erick worked with them for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And, we were there for festivals and stuff. But Robert and I witnessed, the animators over there, Japanese animators who worked on this show, some of them crying when Erick just gave them like a little
thank you card,
with a drawing on it, a thank you card. And one thing that they told us is that just the way people approach Japanese animation production over there is different from the way we approach. So they weren't really used to director giving such personal kind of attention.
Sure.
And even, you guys created a lot of the thank you videos, just sending cream puffs and, all the cares and just a little more kind of a feeling of like we're equal, we're doing it together, as opposed to you do what we say, really touched them. And although conceptually I kind of knew that, but seeing people responding to what Erick and you created in this production really made us believe that it's really true. It's really true that there's so much we can learn from each other. And if we can kind of learn from this experience, combining both best of the both cultures in animation, we could create something unique and hopefully better than anything we've seen.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been a challenge, and I think that, film is so fast-paced, and there's always deadlines, and there's always something that you're rushing to do. And working with the team in Japan, and having that language barrier and that distance barrier and the cultural barrier, there's so many obstacles to overcome that it really requires you to stop and really be thoughtful about your actions and make sure that, you really are communicating effectively with people. And I think that that's what Erick does so beautifully, is that, he really wants to make sure that that connection is heard and that it's genuine and that it's really real. And I think that that's what has created this team we're all one team. It's not the Japan team and the US team.
Oh my god, I think it's all connected. It's so surprising to see, I think you said it right. Everyone's connected in a way. So so I totally agree with what you said, and I think this is very unique and rare case in this industry, actually, because as you say, it's very fast paced and then lots of work, but really, I was almost moved when one of the animators told me that it doesn't feel like work, She's just doing, she wants to really create something amazing, and then she's really enjoying the process of doing that. So, yeah. And I think I see that quality and respect and love from every single team and crew in this series, on this production,
Tell us some of the funny challenges, things that you guys had to overcome. Obviously, when you talked about the hiring process, so it's such a turmoil that we have to kind of sort out. I mean, if you look at this studio, it's such a small space, and we had at some point 14 people in this space.
We did.
And this place is probably meant to be for 14 people. Yeah. But anyhow,
we're at capacity.
We definitely had just coming from big studio. We each had our own offices. And,
that's true. I don't remember that day.
We just share one room. We bump into each other all the time, and we can talk to each other anytime. Anyone can hear anyone else's conversations. How did you manage this space, first of all?
How did we do it? You should tell us about, can you tell Sam about this shot, doing this and that? And so you should tell it.
So that was the best.
Yeah, that was one of the best stories.
Everybody's working alongside the wall. So everybody's on the border of so we have our backs turned to each other. We're either shoulder to shoulder or backs turned. And Sam worked on one end of the room, and Erick worked on the other end of the room. And Sam was working on a shot, and so Erick was giving notes through me, which was it's very Pixar practice.
It's very Pixar, maybe.
It's the note gets funneled through the production. And so Erick's telling me this note, and I'm going to Sam, and Sam's playing along with it, being nice enough. And so Sam's responding to me, and then I go back to you, and then you're giving the note, and finally Sam's like, Erick, I can hear you.
Yeah. At first, you just did it, and Sam just, was listening to us. And then Sam let us do that a couple of times, and then maybe third round, guys, I can actually hear you guys, everything. You guys don't need to repeat this over and over.
And at that point, I just felt so stupid that I was going back and forth. But I mean, I think that it's I'm a tiny person, so I don't feel like it's any. I don't know. I'm comfortable in this small space, but
this actually helps the production go a lot faster and efficient. Obviously, we don't lose any time, and then it's almost like a machine together. We are like moving towards, taking each step together as one. You know? You really physically feel like that, you know?
And
it's not even conceptually, you know?
Nobody gets annoyed at each other. There was this one week where it was raining, because this was the wettest winter in the Bay Area.
Right.
So it was raining. So we didn't even have outside to go to.
Right.
So we were all in here.
That's true.
Yeah.
And it was freezing. And so
Oh, right. We had the...
we had a blanket in my car.
That's right.
When we had meetings.
And then we had the portable heaters in the studio. Mm-hmm. And I remember JJ plugged in.
The whole wall. We lost the electricity.
So we lost electricity in one outlet, which actually served like half our studio.
We got the show.
Yeah. Wait, that was the power outage.
No, that's different. Blackout
The blackout.
happen independent from JJ's story.
So it was there were a lot of storms happening, and there was this one day where it was pretty deep into production where we were all like, the momentum was going, and there was was it an art review? I think it was an art review.
Yeah.
It could be art review.
I think it was
maybe just animation review, but we had the review on the laptop.
Yes.
I still have a photograph of us just kind of surrounding.
Only laptop survived, you know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But the best,
Which cool, just laptop guys.
well, no, because it wasn't black at first. The blackout happened in the afternoon.
Right.
But everybody was so into this review that it was like darkening outside, and it was just getting darker and darker, and we were eventually in pitch black looking at this laptop. And yeah, the picture is just amazing.
So many memories.
Oh my gosh.
So many good ones.
But the cleanse, we all decided to do.
God.
We decided to do a cleanse
Until one guy bailed out.
Eric
in the
did
last
not
minute.
do the cleanse, but so we all, independently decided to do this cleanse, and so we all decided, all right, let's do it together. And it's this horrible cleanse, and it's 5 days, and we, there was this one moment where Stephanie and JJ were opening the door. One was opening the door and one was going through, and they just looked like they hated each other. And
It's
these
all
are
right
like
after
two
car
of the
accident.
nicest people
Girl,
ever.
ladies in the world.
And it was just like, and then I think Sam like bumped into something, and he was like, I just don't even want to say sorry.
And one day he was like, I'm fine. I don't feel the leg.
But then the first day out of the cleanse, didn't they have this amazing moment that they were just so happy? Right, they had a slice of apple.
Yeah, we had our apple.
That's the week when Zach and Matt were here to do some music writing together. And then they were a little scared of you guys because, he's always very negative, very gloomy, energy all over the room. And then, maybe want to go out to lunch.
I said to Zach, or Matt, oh, I could go home, but there's nothing.
Nothing's waiting for me. Zach recently told that story to us when you were there again, because that was such a gold line. Nothing's waiting for me.
Because it was so
There's no point of going back home.
No, we did. Yeah, so we had long hours in this room all together. And I think it's just natural bonding.
Yeah. I mean, all this thing, we just laugh out loud. But yeah, every step, we got, we get to stick together as one even more,
Yeah. And and I think that it's also, it's hard to ignore your teammates if they're feeling more stressed than normal and if they're having a hard time. And I think that that's also something where you step in more and you just become more involved in your teammates' life, and you just naturally, I think, support people.
Yeah, I think I personally remember it was around March or April. There was a moment, we had to, and we can share it the details now, but there's one of the crises, and we had to make a major change in and then I was like really trying to fall, and then that's when I was a little touched by all you guys. You guys are, oh my god, like here we are for you, Eric, and what's the matter? And then you know, Zen and Dice, Robert and Courtney, you guys really protected me from falling apart, and that's when I really realized, oh my god, we're the team. You know, I'm not alone. I mean, you know, it's always filmmaking. Of course, you're doing it all together, but when you are sitting down with your character animating or the painting or drawing, it's so easy to get lost, and you feel like you're all alone. You know, oh my god, I'm all alone. Like, what am I gonna do? But actually, you're not. You just feel that way when you feel that kind of like, you know, stress on your shoulder. But so there are a couple of moments like that, and I can really especially remember that period of time when I was really having a hard time with a couple of stuff, but you were always there for me, and then I thought that was amazing experience after going through that. Yeah, I think everyone had that moment, and then we were always there for each other, and then really think so.
I think you know, what's really interesting again compared to our experience in our careers, everything is fast paced, but I have to say, at least from where we were looking at, we're kind of looking at you guys from a little bit from outside, and it didn't feel rushed, although everybody was busy, everybody was working really hard. But I feel like even at Pixar, we were busy.
We work like a lot. Yeah, exactly.
But then somehow the difference was the focus of, in such a short amount of time, you had to make a decision. There was no other option of like just weighing in different options and just kind of second guessing. You didn't have the time for it. And that's something I didn't experience ever in my career. And then, you know, we're also working on feature.
That's the nature of feature.
Yeah, and you spend
production.
so much time on one project that you want to perfect it, you want to make it better, but oftentimes it's just a cycle of second guessing. There was something that I was, first of all, envious, how you guys had to make a decision that if it's a bad decision, still it's your decision, you're accountable, you're responsible. But that's the way you move forward, you know. Yeah. But you, like you said, Eric, you did not compromise. That's the key to me. Like, oftentimes you always hear, "Oh, we didn't have enough time, we didn't have a budget," and then that becomes a bit of a excuse. And you didn't feel like you say that you didn't have to compromise. And I think that's what was really special to me, just looking at you guys, what you guys are doing from outside. I know it wasn't easy, that for sure, we know that. You went through some crises, but at least you didn't compromise. And then if you look at the product you guys are creating, it is something you are all proud of.
Yeah. I think it's also interesting that the same way that you can't really second guess your decisions is you also can't second guess your apologies. You just have to, when you realize that you screwed up, this project has just taught me that you just have to own it and then move on. And you have to own it and then rely on your teammates. And I remember there was, you know, that one lunch we had, JJ and Toshi and Eric and I have lunch every couple weeks, and we talk about what's going on in the production, and it's half support, half just we really are actually talking about issues that are happening in the production. And something came up, and it was just on me, and it was just, you just have to just own it and apologize and be genuine and sincere, and then just ask for your teammates to support you. And I think that is incredibly hard, especially coming from places that, you know, you could probably have time to fix it, and maybe nobody will notice it. And that's just not the case here. And like, everybody's seeing everything, and it's, you know, we're all just like working here naked.
Yeah.
And it's
one thing I also realize is like, in a good way, no one's perfect. We are still in a process of growing. We are still, I want to believe that we are still early in our career because we are doing this until, we die probably. We are still a lot to learn. There's so much of bigger room to grow. So even if you make any mistake, that's okay. We can make mistake, and that's how you learn. And then I made mistakes. You made mistakes. Dice makes mistakes. Maybe a lot of. But it's okay.
Yeah.
That's why we are here together. We feel in each other's, emptiness, and we, strengthen our, strength and weakness, and that's what we do as a team. That's why we are doing this together. And I remember all those moments. Like, Courtney, you had your moment. I had my moment. But we're always there to each other.
Yeah.
No one ever
There's
blamed
no
or anything
judgment.
like that.
No.
There's no single negative energy to this, at all. So yeah.
Just give us one more story of like the moment that you guys are most proud of. I know you guys already touched on all of that,
Well, maybe I can talk about creative part of it. One of the things I'm glad that I was able to actually pull off is the balance between what Tonko House pursues and my own personal style and flavor in it. So that was actually the biggest challenge to me personally. So, there's a Dan Keeper content which is already very complete. It's very complete. Profoundly figured out, and then how there's any room there. So, and then there's also one of the artistic style or filmmaking style I've been personally developing, in my personal independent filmmaking careers. So, like balancing those two was probably one of the biggest challenges to myself. And then like now, after 8-9 months of production, and now we have 1 more month to go. Look what we've got, and it's not only myself, but a lot of people agrees to that. Oh, this is a perfect balance of what Erick would do personally and what Tonko House also is pursuing. So, like being able to find some middle point and achieving both quality was one of the things I love to actually showcase to the world. I can't just wait, for everyone to watch this and what we created as a team. So that's
Yeah. I think mine was, and it involves Erick and I doing it together, is it was pretty hectic times in Hulu, and we decided to film this cooking competition. And it was also right after the cleanse. I do want to say that. We had to like time the ending of the cleanse that we would be able to eat the food that we made at the cooking competition. And we at that point, I think we were all feeling that everybody's energy and motivation was maybe waning, and it wasn't as positive as it had been. And so Erick and I really wanted to pump the team up, and the cooking competition was a lot of fun. But then what we wanted to do is we wanted to honor everybody in the team, but also everybody at the studio support. And so, we talked to Dyson, Robert, and Zen about this, and we made these horribly ugly, I made them, but these like flags, these prizes
it's not
are
horrible
so
looking,
like, this is, I'm not the artist here, but Dice and Robert, are incredible artists, and they're like letting us hand out these these makeshift trophies. And Erick and I, gave each person this recognition, and we stopped to really thank each person for what they had contributed. And I think at that point, and it's, symbolizes the whole series, is that I think what I'm most proud about is Dyson, Robert, and Zen have really trusted us with this series. And Erick and I have, stumbled a little but really tried to lead this team, and, and kind of lived up to Dyson, Robert, and Zen, and filled their shoes in a way. And it's been a challenge, definitely. But I think at the end, just being able to lead one of Tonko House's projects is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, just to add, like, just you said, Zen, Dice, and Robert, them trusting us, that's incredibly difficult for them. They could have easily, hey, no, that's a dead end,
Yeah.
no, that's, they never did that.
Yeah.
Like, I love to ask you back, Dice, how were you able to actually let us, take this, and carry
I mean, it
on
must have been
by
just
ourselves?
like,
Yeah, I mean, how
oh,
were you?
God.
I think that was one thing that Robert and I, especially coming from Pixar, seeing how difficult it is for sort of senior management to help their sort of younger kind of next generation of creative heads or the production heads, and really tasking ourselves to learn what that really means and how best we can support our artists. And we always dreamed of Tonko House to be the house for artists to come in and play with their creative forces, but it's one of those things that's easier said than done.
Yes.
And of course, we're very much a perfectionist ourselves, and we have a very high standards, and especially this franchise is something that this is our baby as well. So it was a really big challenge to really make sure to balance the support, give you guys the support you guys need at any time, but it doesn't intervene what you guys are trying to do creatively and in production. So that was we're all learning together in that sense. We just had a different roles this time, and I gotta say, I'm pretty sure Robert feels the same way, that it was one of the proudest moments for our Tonkocast journey in the past 3 years to see a project that we aren't directly involved with created such a special piece of film, piece of artwork. We really felt like Tonkocast is expanding, because until then it was always me and Robert touching everything, which we love to do, but we couldn't have scaled that way. And we always dreamed this place to be not our studio, but everybody else's studio, So, of course, that's thanks to you guys. You guys were able to pull it off, because it's not like anything can, happen and we would have just ignored everything. I think we would have been very much involved as needed, but you guys didn't need us as much as we were afraid we would. So I think it worked out so well, and it really kind of motivates us to do more of these projects.
Yeah, you guys were amazing. I'm sure that once this project is released in the States or other countries, we'll get a lot of questions, probably from my perspective towards you guys too. How was it really like to work with Dice and Robert, who's been an amazing filmmaker and art director, but as a producer, how was it like? I have so many stories to tell, but it was incredible experience to work with them,
Yeah, and just to look back and realize the trust that was put in us it's almost like I don't know if I really understood it at the time in the beginning, and I'm glad I didn't, because I think it would have just been so overwhelming and intimidating. And but it's just, it's incredible. You guys are incredible leaders.
Yeah.
Thank you. So to close this podcast, it might be too early to ask, but what's next for you guys? And anything cooking or anything you can share? What's going on?
Can we share the future of?
Take a vacation, or it could be anything.
Oh yeah,
Just
vacation for sure. I need to just relax and sleep for a month.
I'm just gonna keep working on. This has just been such an inspiring piece to work on. It's just chasing the next one that is, I'm so lucky that I get to do this as my job, and it's like that I get to work on these kinds of pieces, and yeah.
I mean, for me, it was my first time being a commercial director, and then the whole time I was officially animator, and then one thing I'm realizing through this opportunity is, oh my god, I want to do this. Keep on doing this. Keep on telling my own stories. I could have easily say, oh my god, this is not my thing. It's a horrible nightmare.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back and animate, But yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
So we really don't know. I mean, I don't know what's next for me.
Right.
But one thing I'm for sure is that I'll be constantly doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's even in the darkest moment,
I know.
I was still so in love with it that it was,
Yep.
I'll just keep doing this.
Yeah,
whatever
hopefully
this
at a
is.
bigger scale, both of you. You guys, just like you said,
Yeah.
even though you guys took on such a huge challenges on this project, but you guys are still young, and you have so much more to go, and hopefully the next project will be a bigger challenge for you guys, and it's just exciting for us. Hopefully with Tonko House, even now, like, we're just such a fans of you guys, as individuals, and Erick, definitely you have to, your film has to follow, and Courtney, the same thing. You can't stop. This is such a journey that even though it's so hard to do, just take some vacation, but you got to come back and do even more difficult challenges.
Keep getting challenged.
Okay.
All
Yep.
right.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dice.
Thank you, Dice, and thank you everybody for listening if you've gotten this far.